immigration is the #2 issue. And there was this perception that President Biden and then Vice President Kamala Harris, they didn't have a strong grasp at handling immigration, at handling securing the southern border. And border crossings are down dramatically from when President Biden was in office. But that's not the news when it comes to immigration, right? The news is what we're seeing in Minnesota and specifically Minneapolis, because in January alone, 2 people died. They were fatally shot by federal agents as a large immigration enforcement operation is underway in Minnesota since late last year. And there's videos going viral of ICE interactions with people. And there have been more critics, both Democrats and Republicans alike, that are really feeling, the word that I have heard is queasy from the interactions with ICE. They're saying that ICE's tactics are too aggressive. How are people right now feeling about President Trump's immigration policies?
Well, they clearly view the tactics employed by ICE and Border Patrol as being too aggressive. Close to 6 in 10 of voters hold that opinion right now. And as we just talked, they do not consider this the right application of immigration enforcement. So we asked a question within the poll, and different tiers and different categories of illegal migrants in the country and even legal migrants in the country. And there's a consensus that if they've committed serious crimes, then they shouldn't be here, whether or not they're illegal or came in with the proper visa and are here on a legal status. But if it's minor infractions, if these people have spent a long time in the United States, voters are not for these kinds of tactics in terms of approaching and kicking out these undocumented immigrants. And so immigration is very interesting as an issue because voters are dead center in terms of a reasonable approach on immigration. I'll explain what I mean by that in just a second. They're not at the extremes. So one side, they do still want strong borders. And when you ask them about the concept of sanctuary cities and whether or not local authorities should collaborate with immigration agencies and enforcement agencies to kick out criminal illegal aliens in the country, 67%, a whooping 67% say yes, there should be cooperation and local authorities should hand over these criminal illegal aliens. So this is one of the key arguments that the Trump administration has employed, and it holds traction, which is, these local authorities aren't cooperating with us. That's why we have to do this sweeping immigration raids in the way that we have done. At the same time, the data when it comes to what is happening in Minnesota is striking, right? 58% say that ICE and Border Patrol has been using too much force. 57% say that it's gone too far in terms of its actions. 56% say that it's not justified. 61% say that they're acting below the norms of law enforcement and are targeting or harassing regular citizens who disagree with the policies. 62% say that ICE and CBP today has been violating civil liberties, which again, these are very, very worrying numbers if you're in the White House. And 62% believe that it was the fault of ICE in the 2 deaths of American citizens for escalating too quickly. And worryingly for the administration, 59%, as I mentioned a little while ago, believe that the administration is still doubling down on its actions and has not really begun de-escalating or changing course, which in fact the administration did by replacing Greg Bovino with Tom Homan and having him lead the charge going forward in Minneapolis, and also shifting from sweeping raids to very, very targeted approach. And as a consequence of this, the political dynamic is a very challenging dynamic. When we asked voters, should Republicans withhold funding for DHS in the funding bill that's going through Congress right now, 55% said yes. They're not quite ready for Democrats to trigger a shutdown. So 53% said the shutdown is not the right path. But really, voters are on edge and they're asking Republicans to really keep the administration on track and create guardrails. And then one of the questions that we asked last week, which has since become policy for DHS, is 86%, a whooping 86%, want all immigration enforcement agents to wear body cameras. And 80% believe that during enforcement activities, they should identify themselves. So again, the way that these immigration push was conducted in the last 30 days was in many ways the wrong approach. And again, voters have penalized the administration because of that. And you see that in the dip in approval for President Trump. And again, this is very important because if you look at the overall set of issues that the Trump administration has promised and is still pushing, 15 out of the 20 issues still have majority support amongst the country. And that's a very good and very strong starting place, and maybe that's why the trajectory was a positive trajectory for the president's approval numbers. And then you have something like this, and it all brings it all down, like the Zeppelin, right? And so, again, the administration still has the ability to reverse course on immigration, and it has reversed course. But really, the old approach was wrong in so many ways, and voters are expressing that very clearly.
And voters expressed clearly, though, that they thought Democrats were too soft on their immigration stance. Now it's almost like Goldilocks, right? That was too soft. This is too tough. Where are voters going to be in the midterms when it comes to this and when it comes to the economy? Does this hurt Republicans? How much does this help Democrats, if at all? What can you tell us there?
Well, I think that if the administration is able to highlight the wins on immigration, closing the border, getting rid of criminal aliens, then that's something that voters will reward. If the negatives of the immigration push and the enforcement and the more extreme elements of the White House are leading the immigration push, then they will punish the administration. So immigration right now, it's like playing with fire. Yes, it can warm you, but it can also burn you. And so I think that the dust still hasn't settled on the immigration push, which again highlights why these initiatives around the economy are so important, right? And keeping the focus on the economy is so important because that is, again, an issue where the administration is on a back footing, but the substance of the economy is actually positive, right? The economy is doing much better than it was doing 12 months ago. Whether the administration is making it burn hot or not, it's a different question. But right now, the key indicators and the key metrics are positive ones. And again, being able to close that gap will be essential for the midterms.